Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Yvette Fernandez, and I'd like to welcome you all to the Philippine Readers and Writers Festival. It's a little different this year. I've been seeing a lot of you over the past few years live in person at the Raffles Hotel in Makati. And so it's different this year because I'm here at home. We're all actually here at home, and we didn't have to brave the traffic or the rains, which it's been raining the past few years. So we're actually all doing it here from home. This festival has been brought to you by National Bookstore with the Raffles Hotel. Um, with me today are different authors from different Anvil books. I'm going to be reading it, introducing them just from my left to right, from what I see on the screen. First of all, we have a good friend of mine, Maricel Laksa Pangilinan, a super mom. We have Patricia Salinango, who wrote That's It Pansit, and we're very excited to hear about it later. And we also have Heidelin Diaz, our Olympian. We are so excited to hear from her, my idol. Aside from being your host for today, I'm also a children's book author. You can see my books up there on my background. Good Morning Manila and Good Night Manila, also by Anvil. It's a story about a little girl and her mom who walk to the streets of Manila looking at different sites. So she goes to Dampa Flower Market, she goes to Paco Market, she rides a tricycle and the MRT, and she visits places like the Luneta Park Monument. It's quite different now because none of the kids can go out nowadays. So it's good. I was looking at my books earlier, and it kind of brought back kind of nostalgic since we can't go outside right now, but you can still do a tour of Manila through the two books, Good Morning Manila and Good Night Manila. And so before we start, I'd like to invite you to shop for books online at nationalbookstore.com and the official NBS store at Lazada. You can also shop from NBS branches via chat to shop on Facebook Messenger and text to order through SMS or Viber. As a special offer, you can get 10% off on local books and up to 20% off on imported books when you shop online. The promo runs only until today, so click to add to cart now and don't forget to check out since there are limited stocks available. So add to cart and then check out. You can just keep doing it all throughout the day. Okay, so I'd like to introduce now the first of our four panelists. She was awarded 3 Palanca Awards for children's poetry and third place in the 2019 Nick Joaquin Literary Awards for her short story, The Sky Painter. She was also a fellow at the 57th UP National Writers Workshop. She loves traveling, trying out new dishes, and watching shows. She's the author of the book That's It Pansit, a book that teaches children to have self-acceptance and empathy for people of different backgrounds. Please join me in welcoming Patricia Selena Ngo.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Once again, I'm Patricia, and today I'll give a talk on teaching values through picture books. So I'll be using my new book, That's It Pansit, as a point of reference. So what is That's It Pansit about? So it's about a girl named Lily who loves being Chinese and Filipino because it means she can have two of everything. She has two names, two languages, and even two birthdays. But when she is asked if she's just Chinese or Filipino, how will she ever choose between the two? So I wrote this story because, like Lily, I also grew up with two of many things. I particularly like being able to eat Chinese and Filipino food often, and I also enjoyed having two different New Year celebrations. It made me feel like I had a second chance at doing another New Year's resolution. Even if many of these two things were very fun, I still felt some anxiety, and this big question kept hounding me, which was on cultural identity. Lily asks this question in the book. Having two of many things is fun, but sometimes confusing. How do I choose one culture over the other? Since there's only one of me, how do I know who I am? Cultural identity is the main theme of the book, but aside from that, I wanted to include several values related to cultural identity. The first one is about empathy. There's a scene in the book which shows Lily with her classmates. They answer questions like, if you're Filipino, why don't you look like us? And where are you really from? I wanted to explore how questions like this can affect kids and even adults as they grow up. It's not just about cultural identity or the lack of the sense of belongingness. It's also about these offhand comments about appearances and differences that can sometimes cause confusion and anxiety in kids. And I wanted to show the effects of that through the story. The second value is on self acceptance. So, identity is a very loaded question, and there is no one answer to it. In fact, one person's answer may evolve over the years. In this particular book, I wanted to show one possible answer to understanding Chinoy identity. So, as the title of the book says, the chosen symbol is pancit because it has Chinese roots but flourished here in the Philippines, much like many Chinoys. Lastly, I wanted to highlight the value and importance of culture. In particular, I wanted to celebrate the unique Chinoy heritage. So I showed different scenes in the book, like festive New Year celebrations and code switching between Filipino, Hokkien, and English. Identity is a very loaded question, as I've mentioned earlier. So I faced several challenges while writing this book. The first one was, how do I tackle cultural identity in a simple yet meaningful way for kids? I wanted to be able to show something that was familiar to kids and still have a lot of meaning. So before I settled on Pansit, I had to go through many drafts of my story, trying to figure out the best way to tell this tale. And what I liked about Pansit was that it was something familiar to kids like Lily, and it's something important to Chinoy culture since noodles are usually eaten on festive occasions in hopes of long life. The second challenge was, how do I make sure that I represent parts of the Chinese Filipino culture properly? As I mentioned in the last slide, I really wanted to show the value of culture, and I really wanted to add to Chinese Filipino lit here in the country. So I wanted to make sure that I did it correctly. So I talked to my fellow Chinoy friends. I also searched online to try and find out more to make sure that the events that I put in the story are accurate and representative. Of course, I don't mean to cover all Chinese Filipino experiences because they're very varied, but I still wanted to make sure that I got things right. The third challenge was, how do I make sure that every word I write in my story is relevant to the main tale that I want to tell? So, as I mentioned earlier, culture is an important value for me. And there was a time where I got carried away trying to add different parts of Chinese Filipino culture. But it was important not to get carried away because I wanted to make sure that the story and the main point was still clear. I didn't explicitly want to add values in the books. Instead, I was thinking of different scenes that could showcase specific values. So I wanted to include some tips and things that I considered while I was adding values into my books. So I firmly believe that a book does not have to be didactic for kids to learn some values from it. In fact, kids shy away from books that are too preachy sometimes, and I also shy away from being preachy. So these are the different things that I considered. The first may sound cliche, but it's very important that writers show and not tell. Instead of telling kids to be kind, show them an example of a kind kid. Show them how the world around the kind kid transforms because of acts of kindness. The second is to make the child the hero of his or her own story. It's important that kids are empowered, that they know that kids like them face the same problems but are able to confront them and be brave. And it's important that, even if they have adults along the way to guide them, it is still the kid who decides on what to do. It is the kid who has the realization so that the child readers will be able to understand and have that same agency in their own lives. The third tip is to give children space to interpret the story on their own. It's important that kids have the time to really comprehend the story, understand how it relates to them, and find their own values. Stories come to life when they reach the readers. Whatever values I intended may be different from whatever values they perceive. And kids are smart readers. We should give them the space to be able to figure out things on their own. I also wanted to include some tips on reading with kids. Picture books are important because they allow for interactions between the adult and the child reader. So every time you open a book, you can stop at each page, point out different illustrations, ask the kids what they see and what they like about the story. And in this process, we are able to build language skills, improve visual thinking, and make reading extra fun overall. As parents, it is important to read with kids, and here are some tips that I've included. The first is to set aside time daily for reading. It's important that your schedule for reading is something sacred, something that's really valued and cherished. The second is to choose something in line with your kids' interest. It's possible that some kids find reading boring because they haven't found the right book for them yet. So having them read books that are in line with the things they are already interested in is a good starting point. The third is to harness the power of imitation learning and to show kids that you enjoy reading too. If they see that you value reading, it will prompt them to also value reading in a similar fashion. The fourth is to connect the kids' experiences with the stories and books. This helps the kid connect more with the story and have them have a more vicarious and fun experience while reading. And lastly, it's important for them to explore different types of books. Each book can present a new worldview, a new hobby, a new culture, and it's important for kids to learn more about that so that they understand more about the people around them. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Patricia. Here's the book. Oh, you can't see
Thank
it.
you.
That's it, Pansit. I was reading it last night, and that's why I decided to wear red today because of the Chinese celebratory. Uh,
Oh yeah, I see.
Thank you very much. Enjoy a special 10% discount on That's It Pansit when you buy from National Bookstore's website and official Lazada store. We're also live on Lazada right now. So for our viewers there on Lazada, you may check out our available books. The promo runs only until today. So click to add to cart now and then check out. Okay? We'd like to call on our next panelist now. She's a parenting advocate who went to UP Diliman for her master's degree in family life and child development. She's also a children's book author with her book Super Benj being the 2006 CMMA Catholic Mass Media Awards Book of the Year awardee. Today, she will talk about her upcoming book, Maya and Laya, which covers self control and anger management for kids. I think it's something that's very relevant right now for kids who have been stuck at home for the last 6 months. Please join me in welcoming Maricel Laksa Pangilinan.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be part of this panel. And Patricia, I just want to share that That's It Pansit is my ultimate last word for my kids when I want to emphasize something that it's a done deal. Mom says
Oh,
so, that's it, Pansit. Can you relate, Yvette? You know, I have 5 children, and just the thought of reading to my kids is like heaven to me. I grew up with a grandmother who read me and told me stories every single night, and I looked forward to those times with her. She has gone to heaven. When she was still alive, it was always that yearning to be with her, to just cuddle with her, and for her to tell me the new chapter of that story that she wants me to know about. And mostly it's about her culture, her lifestyle, her childhood, and really it's history before my eyes. And we were able to just transcend to different worlds with the stories that she told me. And I think that's where my love for reading and storytelling comes from. It's from my grandmother who consistently, without fail, just read stories to me, talked about these stories of her life. And also, in that, I think you can relate more with this. We would be beside the radio and listen to all these drama series there. Like, one of the things that really scared me to death was Kabi, Lagi. You know that? Or
Hindi
you
Ayan. I don't know.
yeah, it's these things that really scared me to death, but really inspired me to just go beyond my borders. So now that we're living in troubling times, I think the role of children's book is so important right now because we are able to escape to different worlds. And then I am able to share a variety of emotions with, for example, my 9-year-old daughter, who I read with every single night. And the last book that we read together was Tale of Despero. We were laughing, we were crying, we were just pulling each other. And wow, after the book was done, we couldn't put it down. We were just immersed in it. And we kept on talking about every single thing that excited us about it. So I think that's so wonderful na lahat po tayo, we should encourage each other to really find an escape once in a while from the realities that face us. Hindi naman masama yun. But also, of course, it allows us to touch base with our emotions na we can still feel and we can still go through all these challenges and come out whole because most of the stories that we will read about have a happy ending in the end. Diba? So, if I were to give an advice to aspiring children's book authors, it would be this, is to not try too hard to come up with a story to write. Like in my case, I started writing stories because I had to take this penalty course. You know naman, UP, di ba? Yvette. UP when you are already magna or sumasampung taon. They give you this penalty course. So I was taking my master's degree in family life and child development. And I had already reached the full capacity of my time in UP. So I was given this penalty course and I chose to get and register for creative writing. And it happened to be creative children's writing course with the most amazing Carla Pasis. So she mentored me. She really just allowed me to be in touch with who I am, what is around me. And I remember this time when I had written Super Bench. Before going into that episode of really writing it, first of course, I had to finish her course. And then we had gone through a very challenging time in our lives as parents, as a family. My son had to undergo an open heart surgery, and we had to fly to the States for it. And during that time, the whole scenario was like just out of this world. Like, this is not happening to us, but actually it's happening. But what I saw was hope. What I saw was love. The importance of community. People were coming to the hospital reading to children, and I'm seeing my son enlightened and inspired and loving it. And I kept telling myself, as soon as matapos itong episode na ito, I will do the same thing. I will write Benjamin's story and I will inspire more people that they can come out of a challenging situation whole. So the minute we got home to the Philippines and Benj had recovered well, I, I called my professor and I said, Teach, I think I want to write the book. And she said, well, she's also been part of the journey of this surgery. And she said, write it right now, wherever you are, write it right now. Oh, I'm in the bathroom, actually. Go for it, just write it. And I just kept on writing and writing. And I was crying, I was laughing, I was just so immersed with the moment. And so if I have anything to share to aspiring book writers, it would be just to be true to who you are. Be true to what surrounds you. And tell it from your heart with a little bit of guidance, of course. You can't do this on your own. And it's amazing when you have the support of people you know you can trust, you know who can lead you to the right direction. You can come out with a really good book. And another plus is that award for getting that children's book award from CMMA. But really, the most amazing part of it is that I was really able to read the story to 1,000 patients in different children's wards. And it's true because when Benjamin came out of his illness, he was whole and other people can be whole. And so that is where I'm coming from when I wrote the story Maya at Laya. I was just exposed to my nephew and my niece, and they started out loving each other while they were playing with my daughter in the house. And then later on, you know how it escalates to a fight,
Right.
and then the fight escalates to something else. And being the moderator of the playgroup, sabi ko, hindi pwede tong mag-ending na magkakagalit lahat because I'm gonna have to answer to my sister. So ang ginawa ko is, I made them go through certain exercises that will allow them to find beauty in their differences. You know, because they were cooped up already for the whole day being together. Nagkakainisan na. So sabi ko, do you want to burst out and just scream at each other? Why don't you just sing? And they started laughing. They were, instead of saying, you go, they started laughing, because you can actually breathe through your anger. You can actually come out of it happy. And what is happening to us now is exactly what we all need to understand. That we are all cooped up in our homes, we are getting into each other's nerves, and we need an escape. But we also need strategies. So that's what I am bringing in this book, are strategies to help parents, to help children work together. So our motto here in the house is, let's fight together, not each other. Diba? Kasi pwede naman tayong manalo. Hindi tayo pwede palaging. I mean, let's not allow ourselves to lose. So now that children are forced to be under the scrutiny of parents for their every move, breathe. With the help of
That no, that doesn't have to be just for kids. Your book can be for adults.
exactly.
Couples
Well,
at home.
I am talking to everyone here because I need the help myself. Don't you guys need the help yourselves? So it's a good thing that we have each other, right? We just have to be thankful for what we have. With the help of books and various resources available for all of us, the aim of my book is really to find the beauty amidst all our conflicts in our relationships and differences at home, in the workplace, wherever we are. And really, there is beauty in everything. We just have to take note of it. We have to find it. Mahilig kasi tayong hinahanap natin yung mali eh. Hanapin natin yung maganda. And then we can build on that. And then those moments become everyday part of our realities. And then, just like Maya and Laya, who are sisters, they both love to play, so may commonality sila. They both just love to be children, being in their own worlds, kasi they are poles apart. One is quiet, one is loud, one is neat, one is messy. How can they get along? Well, we need the intervention now of the parents. And hopefully, the parents are also in the right mindset to give the proper intervention. So that's my hope, is that through our example as parents, we can teach our children values through the stories that we tell them, not only through the books that we read to them, but through the way we live our lives. So I hope that has been of help to you, and thank you for this time.
Very, very helpful, Maricel. Thank you for that. I could relate to it myself because I had a sister who was a year younger than me, and we would be fighting all the time. Now I'm thinking we should have just been singing na lang. And you mentioned Carla Pasis. Actually, she was on our panel last year. We had just me and
Oh,
her last year. We had a conversation about difficult issues to tackle in children's books. So yeah, she's amazing. She's another amazing woman.
yeah.
Okay. So, Maricel, Maya and Laya will be available online and at select national bookstores very, very soon. So look out for that. Maya and Laya. I actually had a friend who were twins named Maya and Laya. Okay. Our next panelist for today, we didn't introduce him earlier because he wasn't on the Zoom call yet. So I'd like to introduce Eugene Evasco. He teaches creative writing in the College of Arts and Literature at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and has written over 80 books. Amazing, super productive and prolific. He is currently a columnist of Liwayway magazine, a fellow of the UP Institute of Creative Writing, and a recognized university artist at UP. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Award for Literature in 2009. Para wala nang, so that other people can win, di ba? Aside from you. And he is also a two-time grand prize winner of the PBBY Salanga Writers Prize and a winner of the Best Short Story at the Catholic Mass Media Awards. Please join me in welcoming Eugene Evasco for Pilat Ginto. Ginto't pilak pala. Sorry. Pero
Hello, kumusta
Eugene,
kayo? Good morning. Nakita ba yung ginawa kong PowerPoint?
nakikita po namin.
Okay. Thank you. Maraming salamat sa introduction, Ma'am Vet. Magandang umaga sa makasama kong panelist. Heidelin? Heidelin, tama ba Heidelin? O Hidelin?
Heidelin po.
Heidelin, hello. Ngayon lang tayo nakita. Ngayon lang tayo nakita. Pero,
Nice to meet you.
yes, good morning. Okay, ang babahagi ko sa inyo ngayon ay kung paano ko sinulat. Paano namin sinulat ni Heidelin ang aklat namin kahit na hindi kami nakita. No? So, ito ay may pamagat na kwentong buhay, kwento ng pag-asa. Ito yung aking pangalawang aklat na picture book biography. No? Si Ma'am Yvette, alam ko marami na siyang mga picture book biography, kaya binasa ko yung mga libro niya at ginawa kong model, no, sa pagsusulat ko ng mga aklat pambata na to dahil ang mga sinusulat ko talaga ay kadalasan ay folklore, mga adaptation ng folk tales at mga legends at mga myths. Papakita muna ako sa inyo ng mga painting, mga illustrations na alam ko na binasa nating lahat o binasa ng maraming bata. No? So, unang painting, alam naman natin kung sino yan, si Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Sleeping Beauty. Ito, di ko alam kung ano fairy tale to. Cinderella. May fairy godmother. No? So, pinapakita ko yan sa inyo kasi gusto ko makita natin, no? Paano ba hubog, no, ng kamalayan o ng consciousness ang mga illustrations at mga fairy tales, no, sa consciousness ng mga readers natin, mga bata. Yan, no? So, tingnan natin dito, no, part na to na sinisave ng isang prince, no, yung isang princess o isang queen. At kahit na ilang libong taon na, mababakas pa rin sa maraming narratives natin, kahit sa mga video games, yung ganitong klaseng kwento, no, na mayroong isang lalaki na sasagip, no, sa isang babae, no, sa mga video games. No. Lumaki ako sa ganitong klaseng narrative, no, na laging babae ang nililigtas. So, yun ang gusto kong matapos. Gusto naming matapos ni Heidelin, no, na tama na to, no? Tama na yung laging sinasagip ang babae. No? So, tuwan-tuwa ako ngayong naabutan ko sa generation na ito na malakas ang mga babae. Ito yung mga na nakikita ko lagi sa mga social media, no? Girl power, no? Love your body, no? Yung lakas ng babae, no? Kahit hindi ako babae, no? Pinlaki ako ng nanay ko na isang babae, ng lola ko na isang babae. So, malaki ang respeto ko sa kababaihan. No? Mas lalo pang lumaki ang respeto ko sa kababaihan nung nakita ko ang lakas ni Heidi dito bigay ng karangalan sa ating bansa. So, nagbasa rin ako ng maraming libro tungkol sa Olympics. No? At alam ko, batchmate ni Heidelin, itong si Joseph Schooling sa Singapore, na kauna-unahan nagbigay ng medalyang ginto para sa maliit na bansa ng Singapore. At sabi ko, wow, sana rin. Una ko itong nakita, tapos sabi sa AFCC noong nakaraang 2 taon. Tapos sabi ko, sana sa Pilipinas din mayroong gumawa ng kwento tungkol kay Heidelin. At tuwang-tuwa ako at inibitahan ako ng Anvil na maging co-writer, no, ng kwento. No? Pinagkatiwala nila sa akin ang kwento. So napakahalaga nito dahil ang mga mauunlad na bansa, napansin ko, no, kasi ako ay nangongolekta rin ng mga libro, ang dami nilang mga libro tungkol sa mga Olympians nila. At malaki ang epekto nito, no? Malaki ang epekto ng mga kwento ng mga Olympians, ng Olympics para magbigay ng dangal sa bansa nila, hikayatin ng mga bata na pumasok sa sports. Napapansin ko na kulang sa Pilipinas, kulang tayo sa mga kwentong sports. Next. Tatlong kwento o aklat ang nagustuhan ko. Mabilis lang to, no? Jesse Owens. So alam naman natin na ito'y panahon na nanalo siya sa Olympics, sa Berlin Olympics, no, na sponsored ng Hitler, ni Adolf Hitler. At pinakita ni Jesse Owens na kahit may racial discrimination, kahit na nasa Olympics siya na isang napakarahas na panahon, siya ay pwedeng manalo ng maraming ginto. Ito rin, no, basketball bells, pati Born to Ride, ang mga kababaihan na iginiit ang kanilang sarili na pumasok sa mga sports tulad ng basketball at pamimisikleta. Doon ako nabigla na dati pala bawal magbisikleta at magbasketball ang mga babae. Kaya ang tanong ko ay bakit hindi natin ikwento ang mga Olympians natin, no? Sila Lidio de Vega, no, si Onyok Velasco, Bea Lucero, Arian Serdenya, no? Yan ang mga kailangan nating ikwento. So ang aking tuwang-tuwa ako, no, na Heidi Lin, hello. Sorry, ginamit ko 'tong mga aklat na ito, no. Hindi pala sorry, no. Nagpapasalamat ako at kitang-kita natin sa mga litrato kahit hindi ko ikwento sa inyo, kitang-kita natin, no, ang determinasyon, ang sakripisyo, ang tiyaga, no, ang pananagutan para sa sarili at para sa bansa natin, no. Hindi ko kailangan ikwento, lalong-lalo na ito, no. Itong larawan na ito, tuwang-tuwa ako na dahil kahit na-quarantine, Heidi Lin, tuloy pa rin ang iyong pag-iensayo para makamit mo ang tagumpay ng bansa natin. Lalo na, at ito rin, no, ayoko ikwento yung kwento, no, ito yung isang eksena na tuwang-tuwa ako, no, na gumagamit ka dati ng mga barbell na yari sa mga lumang lata at semento. At ito ay magandang value. So na kahit na hindi ko ikwento kasi salamat sa kunento ng una nating dalawang colleagues kanina na bawal ang didactic na kwento. So ipakita mo sa mga mga aksyon, no, sa mga pangyayari, no. So ito ang mga ipinakita namin na hindi namin kinukwento ng tahasan. So ano ba ang mga kwentong kailangan natin? Kailangan natin ng promotion ng sport sa Pilipinas. No, dahil ang bansa natin, pinagsabi, no, tatlong B, letrang B, ang gustong-gusto ng mga Pilipino: boxing, basketball, beauty contest. Pero ang dami pang sports na kailangan nating i-promote, no? Na hindi kailangan ng tangkad. Hindi kailangan ng tangkad, no? Kailangan ng lakas. At ito ay weightlifting. Kailangan natin ng mga kwento ng pag-asa, ng pagpupunyagi o perseverance at hard work. Kailangan natin ng mga kwento ng pag-unlad, no? Paano natin hihikayatin ang mga bata na umunlad sa kanilang buhay sa pamamagitan ng sariling tiyaga. No? Napakahalaga nun, ang kwento ng pag-unlad na kailangan ng tiyaga at hindi ka nang lalamang ng kapwa. Yun ang gusto naming ipakita, ibahagi sa kabataang mamabasa. At mga kwento magiging inspirasyon ng kabataang Filipino. Kahit nga ako, nasa ganitong edad na ako, na-inspire ako kay Heidi Lin, no? Na talagang pinagpapatuloy niya ang pagbibigay ng karangalan sa ating bansa. Ang paghubog sa kabataan. No? Isang spread to sa aming aklat na si Heidi Lin pagkatapos niyang manalo sa Olympics ay pinomote niya talaga, pinalaganap niya talaga ang weightlifting. No? Hindi lamang sa mga bata, kundi sa mga kababaihan din. Susunod ay magandang kwento si Heidi Lin dahil nanalo siya ng medalya pagkatapos ng 3 ulit sa Olympics, ng 3 beses siyang kung di ako nagkakamali sa aking research, no? 3 ulit bago siya nanalo. Pagkaraan ng 2 dekada, muli tayo nanalo ng medalya, no? Nasa college ako noon nung nanalo si Onyok Velasco. Tapos ang tagal, 2 dekada tayo naghintay bago magkaroon ulit tayo ng Olympics. Kaya magandang kwento ito, no? Ito rin ang kauna-unahan nating medalya sa weightlifting at kauna-unahang non-boxer na medalist simula 1936. Ang alam ko, 1936, swimming tayo nanalo, no? At pagkaraan ng 20 years, nagtagumpay ang isang Filipina, isang babaeng Filipina, no? Matapos isama ang women's weightlifting sa Olympics. Ito ang mga kwentong gusto namin ibahagi, no? Na kwentong hindi susuko, tamang diet, sinusundan ko ang mga Instagram stories ni Heidelin, at ito yung nakita ko, na totoo na araw-araw, no, pinapakita niya na hindi susuko, ensayo para lumakas at sa conditioning, at paggugol ng maraming oras sa training. Napanood ko kagabi, Heidelin, no, yung nanalo ka ng SEA Games noong December, na at sabi mo, pagkatapos nito, wala ka ng Pasko, wala kang bagong taon, diretso ka sa training. So iyon, no, ito ay kwento ng determinasyon at nagbibigay sa amin ng inspirasyon. At pinakahuli, yung growth mindset. No? Sa panahon ng quarantine, nag-aaral si Heidi. Nakita ko nag-aaral siya. At habang nag-aaral, tuloy ang training. Ipinakita niya ang oportunidad ng pagkatuto sa pagkatalo. No? Na kahit natalo siya, ito ay oportunidad para sa atin na matuto at galingan pa ang mga susunod nating laban. Na hindi niya inaaksaya ang pagkatalo. May kahusayan sa mapag-unlad, hindi sumusuko, hindi takot sa mga hamon o challenges, at ang pagkapanalo at pagkatagumpay, ito'y pinakahuli, no? Ang pagkanalo at pagkatagumpay ay nangangailangan ng panahon at dedikasyon. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga.
Naku, Eugene, na-inspire ako sa presentation mo. Nakita ko na-inspire rin si Heidelin kasi
Thank you so much po.
pinapicturean niya yung, yung Zoom call with all of your with your different slides. So before we move forward, I just wanted to remind everybody that you can enjoy a special 10% discount on Gintot Pilak when you buy from National Bookstore's website and the official Lazada store. We're also live on Lazada right now. So for our viewers on Lazada, check out our available books over there, all the Anvil books. Promo runs only until today, so add to cart and then check out. Okay? So thank you. So for our last panelist for today, I wanted to introduce you to the woman herself na pinag-usapan ni Eugene kanina, yung idol natin lahat. She's the first Filipino woman to compete in 3 consecutive Olympics, win a silver Olympic for weightlifting, a sport usually dominated by men, but she's a woman, as Eugene said earlier. She's a 2-time Sports Person of the Year awardee and is a recipient of the 10 Outstanding Young Men of the Philippines and the 10 Outstanding Women in National Service. Actually, I was there at that award. I watched it because one of my friends was the co-awardee. Her book, Gintot Pilak, teaches kids to persevere. No matter how big their dreams are, they can do it while offering everything for the greater glory of God, country, and family. Let's all welcome our Olympian, Heidelin Diaz.
Good morning po. Good morning, Miss Yvette. Good morning, Sir Eugene. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. Yes. So ngayon, nasa Malaysia ako. Yes, na-lockdown kami dito, pero we decided to stay here. Yun nga, sabi ni Sir Eugene, nag-aaral ako ngayon. Alam ko yung nararamdaman ng mga estudyante ngayon. Alam ko yung nararamdaman ng mga bata. At nakita ko yung mga pamangkin ko rin. Talagang grabe yung pag-aaral nila. So, sana mabigyan nila ng time itong basahin nila yung Gintot Pilak. Gintot Pilak. Kasi it's a book of inspiration. Ito yung kailangan natin ngayon during this time, pandemic. Siyempre yung mga bata, yes, yung mga bata medyo kine-question din nila, bakit ganito, hindi kami makakalabas, bakit hindi kami makakalaro, hindi kami makakalaro sa kaibigan, hindi ka pwedeng kumain sa labas, di ba? So ito yung time na para mabasa nila yung book, yung Ginto Pilat, yung ibang books din ng Anvil, kasi syempre yung picture books, it give us inspiration. So, yung gaya ng Gintot Pilat, kung mabasa nila, ito yung magandang storya ng buhay ko, like what the introduction of Sir Eugene and Miss Yvette says. 3 times akong naglaro sa Olympics, and it takes how many years bago ko naipanalo yung silver medal. At hanggang ngayon, naglalaro pa rin ako, nagte-training pa rin ako. Pero itong books kasi nagbibigay siya ng inspirasyon, pangarap sa mga kabataan. nagbibigay din siya ng pangarap, pag-asa. Kasi syempre, 'di ba, ngayon sa pandemic tayo, kailangan ng mga kabataan, ng mga bata ng pag-asa. Kailangan nila na marinig yung storya ng buhay ng tao na naging successful. Makita nila, ay, ito palang pinagdaanan ni Ate Heights. Dati pala galing siya sa Zamboanga. Nagsimula lang siya sa curiosity, nagtanong lang siya sa mga pinsan niya, tapos binuli din pala siya nung kabataan niya. So, may mga times kasi, yung mga kabataan kasi, di ba may mga times na may binubuli din sila, sinasabihan sila na pangit o ganon. So, hindi ka pwede sa sports na yan. Kasi ako, nag-start ako sa weightlifting, sinabihan ako ng nanay ko, hindi ka pwede dyan. Kasi nga, weightlifting para sa lalaki lang yan. Pero naipakita ko sa nanay ko, hindi, itong sports na to para sa lahat ito. Kahit babae o lalaki ka, mag-excel ka. Dahil ang sports ay para sa lahat. You just have to work hard, dream high, and persevere. And of course, maniwala kay God. So, yung life values ko dito sa book na to, it's yung book kasi nagbibigay ng inspirasyon, nagbibigay ng ini-impluwensya din yung mga kabataan to dream high, to hope, pag-asa. Tapos syempre yung para magkaroon sila ng para masabihan din sila na hindi madaling marating yung pinagdaanan ni ate, mahirap yung pinagdaanan niya. So ganun din yung pagdaanan natin. Hindi kasi lahat, di ba, during these times, lahat iniisip natin instant lahat. Pero hindi eh. Yes, it's easy to dream high. Medyo mahirap yung proseso. Medyo mahirap yung preparasyon. Like me sa Olympics, 4 years ang preparasyon sa Olympics. Kailangan mag-diet, disiplina, kailangan na i-give up yung meeting with friends minsan. Kasi syempre, di ba, pag meeting with friends, may pagkain, tapos kailangan yung disiplina sa tulog, tapos yung consistent yung training. So, sa book na to, na ipapakita natin na how to be champion and how to be yung life ni Heidel Diaz from nothing to something. Naging silver medalist. Yung mga kabataan din, pwede din silang maging from bata to, pag tumanda na sila, maging something sila at ma-reach nila yung dream nila. Pero gusto kong sabihin sa kanila, you really have to work hard. But of course, importante talaga, you have to dream. Kasi mahirap yung wala kang direction. Then, siguro yung masasabi ko sa lahat ng mga gustong maging author, just i-share nila yung life story nila, ano natutunan nila, reflection na gusto nilang i-share sa mga kabataan. Kasi right now, kailangan talaga ng kabataan ng inspirasyon, kailangan nila ng lessons, kailangan na may magsasabi sa kanila, ito kasang mali, ito yung tama, ito yung dapat natin gawin. Kagaya ng sinabi ni Miss Maricel, na-inspire ako doon eh. Parang, o nga no, puro, wala naman palang kumanta. So, parang ang dami ko din natutunan sa kanya, sa talk niya kanina. So, yeah, sharing, yung books kasi kailangan na nag-i-inspire tayo sa mga kabataan. Hindi kailangan na masyadong perfect, but it's more on inspiring them to dream high, to be more, to be more creative in life, or to be, kasi kailangan hindi ka lang dreamer, maging doer ka rin. Yung mga kailangan na inspirasyon sa mga kabataan. Then, gusto ko din magpasalamat sa lahat for showing their support nandito, nanonood ngayon. Then, salamat sa Anvil for inviting me here. Thank you so much.
Heidelin, anong nag-inspire sa iyo nung bata ka? What inspired you to dream big and to work hard at everything that you do?
Siguro dahil sa hirap. Medyo mahirap kami. So, ang hirap humingi ng pera sa nanay ko. So, sabi ko, kailangan kong humanap ng paraan. Kailangan kong manalo. And also, like, nag-start kasi ako sa weightlifting kasi nabully ako. Na-try ko yung iba't ibang sports. Binubully ako ng mga pinsan ko kasi hindi ako magaling. So, ginawa ko sa weightlifting kong ginalingan. Tapos hanggang kinuha ko sa national team. Doon ko nakita um, yung big opportunity ng sports. So, nung nakita ko yun, na parang, oh, maganda pala dito sa sports. Makapag-aral ako. Tapos, naging national team ako, na nirepresent ko yung Philippines. Then, siguro, yung dream ko, kasi before 2018, 2008, sa totoo lang, hindi ko alam ano ang meaning ng Olympics. Hindi ko alam kung ano yung Olympics. Hanggang sa nakapunta ako doon, wildcard ako. So hanggang sa 2012, parang 2012, nag-dream lang ako. Sabi ko, gusto ko lang mag-qualify. Gusto ko lang mag-individual qualifying sa Olympics. Then, medyo naging pangit yung performance ko. Sabi ko, hindi, next time, 2016 Olympics, Rio Olympics, gagalingan ko, mag-prepare talaga ako. Then, ayun, naiuwi ko yung silver medal sa Olympics. So ngayon, after ka sa Olympics, sabi ko, kaya ko mag-gold eh. Ito ako ngayon, still continue doing what I'm doing. Nagsasakripisyo pa rin for the gold medal para sa Pilipinas. With God's grace and God's will.
You're inspiring so many little girls. I was telling you earlier na I read your book to a 4-year-old last night, and afterwards, she was holding up her 2 barbells over her head.
Wow, yes.
I'm Heidelin, she said. So congratulations. So thank you
Wow.
again. Thank you,
Thank you so
Heidelin.
much.
Again, enjoy a special 10% discount on Gintot Pilak when you buy from National Bookstore's website and the official Lazada store. Promo runs only until today, so add to cart and check out right now. So after we heard from all 4 panelists, now's the time for our Q&A panel discussion part. And so we have a few questions for the panelists. Actually, some of them already spoke earlier on the role of children's books in this troubling time, this 6-month lockdown going on 7 months so far. So, what do you think are the is the role of children's books in this time? Can we start with Patricia?
Okay, so I think that children's books are especially important now. So there are some books right now that are particularly about COVID-19. So those are some books that can be used as tools to explain what's happening outside, because I'm sure that there is some fear also with kids not knowing what's going on right now. But aside from that, books in general can still be very powerful. There are many books about different troubling times, so about wars, about losing a loved one, and many other situations. And I think that it would be very helpful to let kids read these many stories so that they also get empowered. They know that, I can do this too. We can overcome this as well. And aside from that, I think that books about wonder and adventure are equally important as well. It provides kids with comfort, it provides them with hope. And it's a way also to escape. Even if you're stuck at home, you can still travel and visit many different places through books.
Yes, agree. Marcel, although you talked about it a bit earlier,
Yeah.
books can
So
help in the pandemic.
right now, because of my book Maya at Laya, which I actually started writing with Anvil in 2018, and I never realized that it will be so useful during this time. All the while I was saying, bakit ang tagal-tagal? Dapat ma-launch na natin. Dapat ma-distribute na natin. We all need this book, but this is the most perfect time that it should be out because we really need all the help we can get from each other and for our children. They need us to show them the way. And there is a way. So ito na yun. Maya at Lala. Magiging malaya tayo.
Ah, can't wait for it to be published na. To be printed and out na in the bookstore. It will be out in bookstores very soon. Eugene?
No, yung role ng children's book ngayon, mas lalong tumindi no? Dahil sarado ang library, sarado ang mga schools, no? Yung mga university. At kitang-kita ko talaga na ang pinaka nag-shine bukod sa mga doktor sa panahon ng pandemic, sa mga frontliner natin, nag-shine talaga ang mga writers, no? At mga artists natin, no? Lahat. Dahil naniniwala ako, no, doon sa paniniwala talaga na ang mga artist ang nagbibigay ng ano, no, ng soul, nagbibigay ng may healing powers ang art, you know, tumutulong ito para sa isang napakahirap, no, napakahirap na pinagdadaanan natin ngayon, no. Meron akong isang nabasang ano, no, isang maikli lang na phrase na sinasabi na kapag maliit ang mundo mo, no, dahil napakaliit talaga ng mundo natin, no, kasi nasa quarantine, naka-lockdown tayo. Kapag maliit ang mundo mo, pwede mo itong palakihin gamit ang libro. No? So ang libro, totoo yan. No? 7 months na ako nakatago dito sa napakaliit na, na unit. At napakaswerte ko, at alam ko maraming tao ang maswerte dahil marami silang libro. At pwede silang makapunta sa iba't ibang mga mundo, mga iba't ibang mga universo, no? At yung imahinasyon nila ay lumalaya, no? So ilang tingin ko pinakamahalagang tungkulin ng libro. Ito ang nagbibigay sa atin ng paraan para mapalagahan natin ang magandang wika, magandang lengguwahe, magandang ilustrasyon, at tumutulong ito sa atin para maintindihan ang pinagdadaanan natin ngayon. At yan ang gusto kong ibahagi natin sa ating mga kabataan.
Eugene, I have a question. How do you come up with ideas for 80 books?
For 80 books.
80 books ka na.
Okay. Siguro kasi napakaraming kwento sa Pilipinas. No? Multilingual tayo, multicultural. So, yun lang, no? Napakaswerte ng bansa natin kumpara sa ibang bansa, no? Na ang dami nating mga kultura na pwede na mapagkunan na ating ito, bukod pa sa mga kwento ng kultura natin, ay mga kwento ng ibang tao, tulad nila Heidelin Diaz at mga prominenteng Filipino na pwede pa natin ikwento. No? So, ito rin ay panawagan ko, no, ma'am, na sana makapagkwento pa tayo hindi lang ng mga atleta, kundi ng ating mga artista, no, mga artist, mga scientist, na magandang maging modelo. No? So, siguro sila Patricia, no, sana gumawa tayo ng isang isang line up ng mga pwede pa nating isulat, no, si Ma'am Maricel, no, magsulat pa tayo ng mga prominenteng Filipino na dapat tularan ng mga bata. No, so
Anvil.
hello Anvil.
Mag-publish tayo ng mga inspiring books of Filipino heroes and heroines to be able to inspire more children. People like Heidelin, no? Hi, Dylan. I saw you taking pictures kanina of the screen when nag-flash si Eugene ng mga books na about Olympians. Nagbabasa ka ba? Do you read about other Olympians and what inspires them? Anong binabasa mo?
Um, yes, nagbabasa ako, pero more on motivational books ako. Kasi during na preparation ng Olympics, medyo nagiging negative din ako. Medyo iba-iba yung iniisip ko, overthink. So, yun ang binabasa ko. Kailangan kong ma-inspire at maghanap ng motivation. Aside from, I'm doing this for myself or for the country, but I have to, malaman din yung pinagdaanan nila, ano yung mga inspirasyon nila sa buhay.
Yeah, how do you cope with yung mental state mo to make sure you're always on the go and trying to keep on going no matter what, even when you lose, even when sometimes you don't always win, diba? So how do you keep on going after a loss, for example?
Okay. Siguro, I always ask myself why. Kasi syempre alam ko rin na hindi parating nasa taas ang atleta. Kailangan namin ng preparasyon. May mga time din na downtime. So, siguro during all these years, mga 18 years na ako sa weightlifting, so natutunan ko nang tanggapin na ganito talaga ang buhay ng atleta. Hindi ka parating nasa taas, kundi nasa baba ka. Minsan, yung preparasyon ang mas mahirap kesa sa success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kasi people don't always, parang we always read about the successes, we don't read about the failures. So it's nice to know na not everybody goes through ups and downs talaga in life. Yeah. Patricia, are you working?
Yes, I think it's also like...
Go ahead.
Sa tingin ko, it's also acceptance and kasi minsan, di ba, pag gusto lang natin, para ako as an athlete, parang minsan gusto ko ganito performance, pero gusto ko ring na sabihin sa ibang tao, may next time pa, may ibang Olympics pa, pwede nating galingan next time.
Thank you. Patricia, you're also a very prolific writer. Can you tell us, because there are a lot of writers out there listening right now who want to write their own books. So how do you come up with your ideas, and what inspires you talaga to write? And how can you inspire other writers to continue their writing?
Okay. So different things have inspired me over the years. Back when I was younger, I used to write more about wonder. Like my poems from back then were really about ordinary adventures of kids, seeing the world with wonder, even if it was usual things like wearing socks or playing with the blanket, it was something that was still very amazing to them. But now, as I get a bit older, I think about writing different stories. So with That's It Pansit, for example, I wanted to showcase more stories about Chinoys like me. I wanted more people to know about the culture as well. So these are the things that I'm trying to look for now, stories that I can tell and stories that are needed to be told. Because as Sir Eugene mentioned earlier, there are so many stories here in the Philippines, and I want to help explore that also and find the different stories that aren't so famous yet but need to be told. And my tips for any aspiring children's book writers would be to keep reading also. There are so many stories out there, and writing for children is a specific art. So it's different for writing for adults because you use different words, you use different ways of thinking because kids also have different problems. And I think it's also important to just keep writing, even if your poem never gets seen by anybody else or your story. I think that it really just keeps adding to your skill as a writer, and it's just important to practice. Just like athletes, diba? It's important to keep practicing. Even in writing, it's the same thing. You have to build your writing muscles.
Maricel, as a super mom in this group, what sort of books do you think are necessary? What other issues should children's books writers tackle that you think parents would need?
Well, just before our meeting right now, I spoke to my daughter, Solana, about the next book I'm going to write. Kasi each of my children is well represented in each of the books that I've written. So siya na lang yung wala. Kaya either it's about a pet, a relationship with a pet, because I realize her affinity to our new cat, for example, na nanganak. So, nakita ko na very close silang dalawa, and parang kami din ni Solana, nakikita ko sa kanila. And honestly, ayoko ng cats. Ayoko, pero she has shown me the beauty of how it is like to care for a cat. And every morning when I go out to see the cat and the baby cat, the kitten, nakikita ko na parang similar sila sa amin ni Solana. So, parang we're going along that path kami. Marami actually na nakikita kong kailangan na ikwento, hindi lang sa mga bata, sa mga magulang. Kasi parang ang nagiging susi para makausap natin yung mga magulang na akala ng mga magulang na alam na nila lahat, ay pag kinausap natin yung mga anak nila. So, kung kakausapin natin yung mga anak nila at sila magbabasa ng mga libro sa mga anak, yung totoong mensahe sasapul dun sa mga magulang na nagbabasa ng mga libro. So, yun yung mga tema ng mga libro na sana masulat ko pa.
Wow, we look forward to that book that you're going to be writing for Solana. Hopefully, since when we're in lockdown, you can write more and more, diba? Actually,
Dami, yeah.
you can write more and more books. So it turns out you only have 1 minute left. That hour went by super fast. So I would like to thank everybody for being here today. On behalf of National Bookstore and Anvil Publishing, we'd like to thank everybody, all the writers here on the panel, as well as all of the writers and readers out there listening to us from their homes right now. I want to ask all of you to please shop for our books on nationalbookstore.com or on the official NBS store on Lazada. Again, you can get 10% off local books and 20% off imported books when you shop online until today. So add to the cart now and then check out. There are also many more virtual events coming up today on the 2020 Philippine Readers and Writers Festival. So check out the complete lineup by checking out the website, readersandwritersfestival.com, or by following National Bookstore on Facebook, NBS Alert, and on Instagram. I just wanted to promote the books of each one of you again. Heidelin Diaz and Eugene Avasco for Gintot Pilak, Patricia Sarinango for That's It, Pansit, and Maricel Laksap Pangilinan for Maya at Laya. I want to thank everybody again for being here today, and we'll see everybody soon. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.